If everybody could go on speaker view, that would help with the presentation. And welcome to Tuesday Talks on Youth Services in District 7070. Tonight's program is going to be a little bit different from the other Tuesday Talks, as there will be a lot of speakers who will be giving you a lot of information. We've tried very hard to make this session both informative and inspirational. As is usual, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions of the speakers at the end of the program. And to add what Mark said, I'm so thrilled. There are so many interactors here tonight. I think we have over 40 interactors who are registered for this event. Welcome to them all. Okay, first slide, Charles. Let me give you, I'm going to wait till it gets, okay. Let me give you a brief overview of the youth services in Rotary generally, in our District 7070 committee specifically. Next slide. As I was preparing for this talk, I learned some new things about Rotary International.
I'm sorry, 1 second.
Okay. Okay, I learned some new things about from the Rotary International website. As you can see, Rotary involvement with youth started with Boys Week in the 1920s, and it quickly spread throughout the world. Girls became initially involved by riding on a float sponsored by a Mississippi Rotary Club. However, their involvement increased, and by 1934, the name was changed firstly to Youth Week, and then in 1936 to the Boys and Girls Week. Rotary continued to support by sponsorship this special week, but then went on to encourage the participation of clubs in local youth service initiatives, and in fact formed other programs focusing on youth leadership development, including Youth Exchange in 1929, Interact in 1962, Rotaract in 1968, and Rotary Youth Leadership Awards in 1971. So now we're staying on that slide, Charles. As we jump to recent history, you can see that youth service became Rotary's Fifth Avenue of service in 2010. For all of the new Rotarians and interactors, avenues of service channel Rotary's commitment to service through 5 avenues of service, which are the foundation of club activity. With this recognition of the importance of youth to and in Rotary, Rotary acknowledged the positive changes that arose from the investment in our future by empowering young leaders. Next slide. After that very brief history of youth in Rotary, let's look at the Youth Services Committee in our district. In recognition of the newest area of focus, the environment, I have used a tree to help explain the role of our committee. The tree has 6 branches, simply because I couldn't find a picture of a tree with 5 branches. So let's just call the smallest branch on the bottom left, that's me as chair of the committee. It's my job to help the other 5 branches stay healthy and thrive and also communicate with each other. Next slide. What are the 5 branches? I have listed the branches in order set out because that is the order they will speak to you tonight. They are all of equal importance, but as it is impossible in 45 minutes for all of the groups to fully brief you on their activities, we are focusing a little more time on Rotaract because there are so many changes made to Rotaract in the past year by Rotary International, and Youth Exchange because COVID has really hurt that branch and we want to ignite your passions. Next slide. So I will conclude my brief summary with the role of our Youth Services Committee. There are 5 goals listed on this slide, which are pretty self-explanatory, but I want to focus on the first and the last goal. We are here to help you. If you are thinking about starting a Rotaract club or getting involved in Youth Exchange, our committee can answer your questions, give advice to your club based on a lot of experience, and we can assist your club with the processes required. For example, when you start an Interact club or a Rotaract club, you need to understand the role of the sponsoring club, and you need to understand the importance of succession planning in that club. Our committee members have that experience, and we're all eager to assist you. And finally, we want you to understand how youth involvement is inspirational and how it will change your club in a truly wonderful way. It is so motivating When you think you're exhausted with everything that we do as Rotarians, to see an interactor grow from a shy grade niner to a true leader. We have several of those here today with us. So please get your club involved in the youth programs. You will be truly rewarded. So let's begin introducing you to the Youth Services branch. Next slide. We're going to start with Rotaract, our District Chair, Shauna Moore, and District Rotaract Rep, Catherine Kirkpatrick-Wall. Fire away.
It's really awkward when you're co-presenting with somebody on Zoom because you can't find their face. So I'm going to start because I know that the first couple of slides are mine. My name is Catherine Kirkpatrick-Wall, and I'm this year's District Rotaract representative. So I like to think of myself as the Mark Chipman of the Rotaract team. But just to kind of give you an idea of what my position is, and then Shauna will introduce herself as well.
I think we need the next slide, Charles. Okay, now you're in your program, Catherine.
Okay, there we go. So me and Shauna are here to talk to you guys about Rotaract. So next slide. So just as we were kind of going through and setting the stage, a couple of things that we came across, and we wanted just to kind of share these two with us. The quote, "Together we see the world where people unite and take actions to create lasting change across the globe in our communities and in ourselves." This was a quote from Rotary International 2018 in Toronto. Next slide. Just to tell you a little bit about our district at a Rotaract level, we have 3 university clubs and 5 community clubs in our district. Next slide. We are also the first, so the Rotaract Toronto is the first international Rotaract club. And almost half of our Rotaract clubs are sponsored by 2 or more Rotary clubs. So even though things are changing, we definitely love our sponsorships. And, you know, I can tell you that I personally have stayed in Rotaract for as long as I have because of the connections that I've made with our sponsoring club, and their encouragement has made me feel empowered. We also have 3 more currently in development. Shauna, do you want to speak to that?
I can, yes. So we have, there has been interest from Alliston, Durham region, and from Etobicoke to start up 3 new Rotaract clubs. And we are hoping to get them started by the end of this Rotary year. So they're all at different stages, but this is happening. So very exciting for our district.
Super exciting. Next slide. So as we start talking about Rotaractors more, we want you guys to think about what do you already know about Rotaractors, and what do you want to know, and who is a Rotaractor? One of the things that I did mention is that, you know, 5 out of our 8 Rotaract clubs are community-based clubs, you know, and there is a little bit of a tendency to think of Rotaractors as university or secondary education students, but over 50% of our clubs are community-based. You know, it definitely changes your perspective. So next slide. What is a Rotaractor? So I like to think of a Rotaractor puts the action into Rotary. It has always been that Rotaract is here to give their time as their resource. That's how it was explained to me from day one. We are not going to write $500 checks every time anybody asks us for a donation, but we are going to be the people who put aside an afternoon a week to help out and work at that food bank. Traditionally, Rotaractors were somebody between the 18 to 30 range. However, as part of the Elevating Rotaract, which Sean is going to talk about a little later on, we're now technically young professionals age 18 plus. As I've mentioned, we are working professionals, and some of us have moved into the secondary education. And we are in our careers, and we are definitely motivated individuals. Next slide, please. Who is a Rotaractor? So as I've been a Rotaractor for about 6 years now, I can tell you that we are not very unique when it comes to coming into Rotary. We have learned about Rotary either because we've done a youth exchange, our parents are Rotarians, we have a second cousin who is a Rotarian. We know something about it, and we are moving, and we've come into a new stage of our lives, and we're looking to make connections with our peers. I have a very classic story of I graduated university, and when I all of a sudden had all this free time on my hand, I was looking for things to do and people to hang out with. And that's where I discovered Rotary. We stay because we make a difference, because we have truly built a community within the club and within the Rotary family, whether that be at just a district level or in an international level as well. That's who we are. We are young and determined, and we're typically a bunch of alphas, which make meetings tons of fun, and decisions definitely aren't always going to come easy, but we're here and we all have a passion to give back to the community. You want to go to the next slide? And where are we making an impact? So I want to talk to you guys about two specific projects that we've been working on throughout kind of the last year and a half. Of course, the Rotary Small Acts of Kindness, spearheaded by GTA Connect, as well as the Rotaract Club of Toronto, where they went and they found a lot of kind of smaller projects to just help make an impact, specifically at the beginning of COVID, but throughout. So you can see in the photos, we got a whole bunch of Rotaractors and Rotarians to make masks back when nobody could find them anywhere, as well as picking up and organizing clothes donations for a local charity. Next slide. I love Neil's comment about how the small acts of kindness has a huge impact. It's great. I'm also want to highlight some of the things that we were doing this year during COVID. The Rotaract Club of Willowdale, another community-based club, has really truly been inspiring this year. Back in September, they did a bottle drive, and I was lucky enough that I was free that afternoon, so I went and volunteered with them, which is where you guys get the pictures from. But throughout the course of the year, they have definitely had large impact events, whether that be bottle drives or food donation drives or drives for women's shelters. They have definitely been super active this year, even without COVID. Next slide. And Sean is going to talk about a few Rotaract international projects. You're on mute, Sean.
So in the interest of time, Charles, can you move to the next slide, please? So you might have heard about these big changes in 2019, 2020, and about elevating Rotaract. So I'm going to go over quickly some of the big changes. So a top 6. So Rotaract is now a type of Rotary membership. So Rotaractors are now Rotarians essentially. Rotaract clubs will be allowed to sponsor other Rotaract clubs or establish themselves without a sponsor. And I think Catherine mentioned liking sponsorship. It's not that sponsorship is a bad thing. In fact, we have some amazing sponsoring clubs on the district. And it doesn't mean that we will not be seeking out sponsoring clubs, but the big change is that Rotaractors can start their own clubs. So Rotaract will be open to all young adults 18 and over, and there will no longer be an upper age limit of 30. And so Rotary International encourages Rotaract clubs to work with Rotary clubs on global grant projects as well. That's another thing we need to know. Rotaractors are now eligible to serve on district level and district level on RI committees. And in 2022, Rotaractors will pay a per capita dues of either $5 for university or college groups or $8 for community-based groups. And Rotaractors will also enjoy greater support, training and access to tools from Rotary International. Okay, next slide, please. So what do you need to know? Why do you need to know it? So it's important for us to know. We've talked about elevating Rotaract. We've talked about the future of Rotary, and this is important stuff to know as clubs who are wanting to support and champion youth leadership in the community. So what does it mean for our district and Rotary International? Sorry, was there a question? Oh, okay. What does it mean? It means greater freedom for Rotaract clubs to get started. I think it also means for clubs like, I'm thinking about my club, an opportunity to support young leadership and to showcase young leaders and to build new leaders in our community. So where can I find the information? So Catherine and I can provide that information to you. It is certainly available on the District 7070 website, and there are all kinds of resources on the Rotary International website. And who can help me? You've met Catherine and I, you've met Patty, any of us can help you. We would love to engage in a conversation with you. Next slide, please. So starting a Rotaract club. Just because Rotaract clubs can start without a sponsoring Rotary club doesn't mean we are done with Rotary. So the reason why these changes happen is to promote autonomy and to support young leaders. How to start a club, we can offer those resources to you, and we can certainly talk about the rules around that, and we're here to offer you that support. So please reach out to Catherine and I. Next slide, please. How can I get involved? So Rotarians, they hear about Rotaractors, they're not sure how to get involved. Ask a Rotaract club what they need. So Neil has pointed out that, maybe Rotaractors are not the ones writing the big checks, but they can ask for support. You can certainly support them. How about being a mentor, growing leaders in your community? Rotaractors are always seeking out mentorship. Attend a Rotaract event. We would love to have you. Invite Rotaractors to run or host one of your meetings and prepare to be amazed. Connect with the Rotaract club that you're sponsoring. That relationship is vital and it's very important. What else can we do? I see there's some suggestions in the chat. Thank you, Neil. And who can help me? Catherine and I can certainly help you. Patty's there, Mark is there, but Catherine and I are your go-to people. So please reach out if you have any questions. And Neil Phillips as well. So Catherine, I'm going to give this slide to you because you and your crew have done a lot of work on this.
Absolutely. So while we are speaking about things to do to help support and engage the young professionals, definitely worth making a sales pitch out here. We are doing a district Rotaract conference the first full weekend in May. We're super excited about it. It is going to end up being a 2-day conference, all building on this idea of building connections within the Rotary family. It's going to be 2 days because they're only really half days each, which was we all have Zoom fatigue at this point into COVID. So we really wanted to make sure that it was light and engaging and focused on building those connections. So save the date and tickets are coming shortly. Next slide. I think we're done.
Thank you, Catherine and Shauna. And there will be a chance for questions. I'm sure you have a lot of questions afterwards. So let's move on to Interact. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, let's Interact, and our chair of Interact is Laura Bradford. Laura, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting us to speak today. And I'm very pleased to turn this over to the District Interact Presidents Group. Charlie?
Hi, everyone. So my name is Charlie Kamara. I'm the president of the Interact Club of Newmarket, Aurora. So a group of us, the presidents of Interact clubs around the GTA, are going to be giving you a presentation today talking about Interact as a whole and why we're here, what our goals are, how you can start clubs, that kind of stuff. Next slide, please. All right, so I'm going to start with the goals and aims of Interact as a whole. So the overarching goal, of course, is to provide an opportunity for the youth of our community to learn about and adopt the Rotary mindset, with the eventual goal, of course, of growing as the next generation of Rotaractors and then eventually Rotarians. So one of the main goals that we have as Interact clubs is to kind of recognize and develop constructive leadership, and recognizing that this constructive leadership is the basis for our futures. Then moving on to the emphasizing the acceptance of individual responsibility. So again, being one of the key factors in our to personal success and community improvement, group achievement, and especially in our careers. Then of course, developing personal life skills, including self-development and time management. And again, recognizing the value of serving society. So not just the benefit to us as interactors and members of these clubs, but the benefits of what we're doing to society itself. Then facilitating the learning of community, national, and world affairs. So not just being concerned with what's going on in our communities, but on a national scale, and then eventually in terms of the world. And finally, to open avenues of personal growth and group action, which will eventually lead to the advancement of international understanding and goodwill to all people. So advancing this global mindset of the impact of what we're doing and how we can help the world grow. And I'll be passing it on to another president.
Joining an Interact club for me was wanting that sense of community that I grew up watching my mother and sisters be a part of. Interact is not only a school club, but it allows us to make an impact with our community. It allows us to work with our parent Rotary clubs who introduce us to different community groups that are working in our area to build a better community. Joining an Interact club has been a life-changing experience for me. Interact has changed the way I and my club members approach community outreach. It has opened our minds to different ways we can help the community. For example, food security, mental health, wellness, and addressing environmental issues. Personally, Interact has taught me leadership, communication, and time management skills. Something I really benefited from watching Rotarians in action is learning how to manage a meeting. And the most important lesson is the real meaning behind service above self. I'm going to pass it on to the next president.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pearl, and I was asked to talk about why we stayed in Interact. To start off, as the name suggests, we get to interact with and get to know people from all around the world. And in the past few years, we've worked with people from Bangladesh, Peru, Laos, Philippines, Egypt, and many more countries. And if learning about others and hearing their stories isn't enough, we get to use our advantages to uplift them and help them in every way possible. Interact has helped us to give back to those in need, just like some of us who were once ourselves might have been helped in the same way. For instance, growing up in India, we had social workers providing young children all over the city with oral polio drops, including myself. Hence, now it's an even better experience to help those in need get vaccinated, just like I once did, through constant awareness about polio and fundraising. Being in Interact, we also get a chance to understand and spread the importance of women empowerment around the world. As a result, we have worked with Days for Girls to provide reusable sanitary pad kits to girls in Peru and get to sponsor education of mothers in third world countries, which not only elevates a woman's position in the household, but establishes the importance of gender equality in a society. Moreover, we get a chance to share a privilege of having basic necessities. In the past year, we've gotten a chance to raise funds and provide 2 families in Laos with water filtration devices. And lastly, we get to personally connect with individuals around the world to inspire and to get inspired to pursue bigger and better projects, such as having pen pals in Egypt. I'm going to pass it off to the next president.
We have the next slide.
Hi everyone, I'm Nathan Brown from the Interact Club of Campbellford, and I was an exchange student in Argentina last year. I'm going to talk to you about what we learn as interactors. Some of the main things that we learn as interactors is the importance of youth involvement. We learn how fortunate we are to be given the opportunity to be involved, and we enjoy personally feeling and seeing how much us being involved brings joy to so many. We also learn how to develop better leadership skills and personal integrity. Each project, as we all know, sometimes can pose its own challenges. And we always work through those challenges together as a group, and we always successfully complete our projects. We learn how to connect with Rotary clubs and their projects. This is a very important very important thing that we learn. Doing this, we learn who is supporting us, and we get to see some of the international projects that Rotary is a part of. We learn the importance of both professional and friendly relationships and how we can use those to assist with projects and also within our own lives. I will pass this on to the next president. Next slide, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Ahmed. I'm the Interact Club president of Earl Hague. So how have we adjusted with COVID-19? So I actually think that my club's the perfect example for this because it was started during the pandemic. So we had a lot of very interesting challenges about how we can get people engaged and how we can explain to them what Interact is without ever meeting them. And so one of the best tools we had was social media. We were, especially Instagram, because we were able to post instructions on how to join and show pictures of events that we could do. And that way we got actually almost 25 members just from Instagram. So it was great. Another thing we have to keep doing to keep things interesting is creative virtual events, because we can't run normal events because we're a school-based club and they told us not to. And so a few examples would be, we just finished a virtual pen pal exchange with another Interact club in Egypt, and members got to discuss like pandemic views and school differences. And we're doing one right now where we get our members to get split up into groups, and they're assigned a social issue like climate change, for example, and they'd create a post and we'd post it on our Instagram. And finally, because we can't actually have proper meetings. We need to keep the virtual meetings very interactive as well. So we do those through softwares like Pear Deck and other stuff that like are add-ons to PowerPoint or Google Slides, and they make the slides interactive with polls and questions. And yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Ahmed. We actually missed one of our presidents. Aman, do you want to do yours? Is she there?
She did it. Iman did it.
Oh, did she?
Yep.
Oh, how did I miss that? Okay, so as you can see, this is a really impressive group, and their experience with Interact is significant. For a lot of them, it really enhances skills and talents that they already have. And for some, it exposes hidden talents that have not been noticed yet. And those are the ones that blossom when they're involved in Interact. The group that you just saw is a new group in Interact. It's the District Interact Presidents Group. It's all the presidents from the clubs that we know of. They get together, work together, they support each other. It connects the clubs. It's an opportunity for them to look for opportunities to collaborate. All of these presidents have clubs that are growing and thriving during the pandemic. And as you heard from Ahmed, his club was established during the pandemic. So if you have an Interact club that hasn't connected with us yet, if you can please get in touch with us. I'll put my contact information in the chat so you can see it. And if you're interested in starting an Interact club or you have an Interact club that's struggling, certainly get in touch with us. We can connect those presidents and see if we can strengthen those clubs. So as you can see, I'm always happy to show off our amazing interactors. They always impress, and I hope that's the impression that they left with you today.
Terrific. Thank you, Laura. Charles, next slide. We're going to go to our newest member of our committee, Heather Drakes, who's chair of Early Act.
Hi, everyone. My name is Heather Drakes, and I am the chair of Early Act. Before I start, as a teacher, I have to commend how well the Interact presented themselves. Awesome job, guys. Awesome job. I'm going to now speak in reference to Early Act. Early Act has been around for a while. However, there isn't a big push per se based on the fact that it's not one of the sanction committees yet with RI. Hopefully we can work on that to change that as time goes on. However, I'm a firm believer, being an educator, that we should get them young. So Early Act is basically geared towards the elementary school sector, whereas Interact is definitely your secondary panel, which is high school. So I feel, especially now, that a lot of the schools have pushed in the elementary with the Me to We. The Me to We was a really, really big thing within the elementary systems. And as we know, with what has happened with the Me Too We, despite the issues that they've gone through, they did do quite a lot for the communities. And that being said, I think this would be a perfect time for Early Act to jump on board Rotary District 7070 that can really benefit by encouraging the younger masses to get involved. Within that, I find that you can work within the family of schools and feeder schools to connect with Interact. So again, that's probably teacher lingo to many. However, how Interact works is obviously the students are in high school. While within Early Act, it would be elementary school. And students within elementary schools belong to a family of schools. And by feeder schools, that term means the high schools that those kids from elementary will be slated to go to. So since there are so many Interacts high schools available, especially within the Toronto area where I teach, I can actually help assist on getting some early act programs going and even connect it with the feeder schools, which would be their Interact High School. So there could be definitely a partnership between elementary and secondary, and then it moves on from secondary into Rotaract. So that's basically how I see the whole flow going. Again, being in the elementary system, I can definitely help with you and help you navigate the system in reference to promoting early act within the elementary panel. There is a link within the district website where I do have a tab set up there where you can get some information in reference to early act. I'm always available as well. You can contact me if you're interested. And I have actually created a early act handbook that can actually guide you on how to establish an early act program and how to deal with the sponsors and a sponsorship club. However, I will be looking to tie the handbook that I have created in with Interact so that there is that very smooth transition as we move on from early act to Interact. So if there's any questions at all or anybody's interested in starting out an early act club, I'm always available and I look forward to hearing from you and I look forward to working in tandem with the Interact clubs.
Great. Thank you very much, Heather. We're going to move quickly on to Youth Exchange and the chair, Deb Murray.
Hi, everyone. Wow, we have some great youth programs. I want you to close your eyes for a minute. Imagine a world where people from every country experience something so big that it changes their outlook, compassion, understanding, and perception of how we ourselves and others live, work, and manage challenge. Imagine it. You're probably thinking of a pandemic. A pandemic changes outlooks, heightens understanding, fosters tolerance, and grows compassion. A learning experience like no other, and one we certainly didn't expect. Now imagine if that pandemic was not a deadly virus, but a life-lifting gift that spreads rapidly when Rotary clubs in every district around the world say yes to youth exchange. Rotary Youth Exchange is that life-lifting gift that will affect us all. It's an opportunity to open doors for service to youth who experience life like no other in a country with new language, culture, and character. Clubs who say yes to youth exchange are serving to save lives. Every Rotary club that engages in youth exchange is changing a life that is given an experience that may lead them to become someone more than they ever imagined. Like Dr. Paula Steiko from a small town in Alberta who discovered herself through youth exchange and now leads an NGO on disaster recovery techniques. How about someone like Jason Pohl? You may have heard of him before. He was our co-chair with me on youth exchange and now lives in Australia. He's an epidemiologist, changing lives for children with cancer. Or Lorelei Higgins, who went to South Africa and learned to be adaptable and flexible. And those are skills that she's using now to serve others while she's redirecting unused restaurant food to those in need. The list of global citizens impacted because of youth exchange is immense. And it's not only the students who benefit, but it's those with whom they interact, the families who host them. I was so touched. It's not just the families who host them, but the families who host them, the sisters, the brothers, the aunts, the uncles. I was so touched by 3 of the youth exchange students that I hosted when my parents recently passed away. From around the world, they all reached out with memories of insight and enjoyment that they had experienced through my parents when we hosted them. It was heartwarming. It's those connections made around the world that builds compassion and peace. So now we have something great for you. You will now hear from 3 returned youth exchange students known as ROTEX. That's what ROTEX is. It's a network of exchange students that have returned from exchange and go on to do great things. We heard about Nathan Brown, who is the president of the Interact Club, and went on exchange last year. They go on to do great things. And we'll also hear from a host family who has been injected with the youth exchange vaccine of enthusiasm. So listen, enjoy, and open doors of opportunity to serve, to save lives through youth exchange. Just say yes. I'm going to invite now Madeline. I welcome you to share your story with us, introduce yourself, and share your story with us now. Maddie.
Hi, thank you, Deb. And I gotta say, you kind of stole my bit. I was gonna also use Nathan in a little bit of my introduction as a good example. So yes, thank you. I am Madeline. I was a Rotary Youth Exchange student to Denmark in 2018. I was sponsored by the Balvo Club. And again, as Deb was saying, this is an amazing opportunity. And I am so thankful to the Balvo Club, to the district, and to everyone who had a part in letting me have the amazing opportunity of a youth exchange. So I'm kind of more going to do a little bit more of the information on ROTEC as it was explained. We are a group of past youth exchange students, and we are a young group. We also have started in the pandemic and have been taking advantage of social media and reaching out through that. Maybe some of you guys have seen our videos, our clips, or maybe you've even seen me at your club presenting and trying to convince you guys to do Rotary Youth Exchange. Hopefully, yeah. Yeah, Rotex 7070 is the district. And then as well as our email, it's very easy. It's rotex7070@gmail.com if you want to ask us maybe any more questions after this. And again, the ladies after me, they have amazing stories. I am more the information lady, and they're going to go into their experiences, and they're definitely going to inspire you. When I was listening to them practice, I was inspired. And then a little bit into my experience. So for me, exchange obviously did change my life, and it changed how I see the world, and it really connected me to the world. I'm from a very small town outside of Belleville. I think my township has like 4,000 people, and before youth exchange, I had never traveled, I'd never been on the plane, and I think like visiting Toronto was like the most foreign experience I've had growing up. So for me, it was like the world was this big, scary, like not scary place, but it was this big place, and it just seemed ginormous, and I knew nothing about it. And then when I went on exchange, everything opened up, and I met people from so many amazing places. I saw Europe, and I made deep connections with people all around the world. And now I have a map hanging in my room. Sadly, I can't show it, but and I look at this map and I see my friends. I look at countries and I'm like, that's where my friends are from. And it just like the world and this map just kind of seems like this big family to me. And it's no longer the stranger place, and it's really enriched my outward view of the world and made me passionate about the world. And additionally, with Rotary, I was active in my Rotary club before I leave. I was very active in my Danish club, and I love staying active with Rotary. I studied very hard for my interview, and as I was studying, I just fell more and more in love with Rotary, and I'm so honored that I still get to stay involved with Rotary. And that's a little of my experience, and the next two ladies will go deeper into their exchanges.
So we have Noor coming up next.
Hi everyone. My name is Noor, and I went on exchange to Taipei, Taiwan in 2016. Now, if you ask any exchange student what they dread hearing the most when they come home, it's being asked, "How was your trip?" Exchange is not a vacation. It's a challenging time all around. You move halfway across the world alone at 16. For a year, you may struggle to make friends or get along with host families. Classmates may completely ignore you. You're forced to speak a new language, and you sound stupid doing it. I think the most difficult thing for me was that on exchange, you are trying to be good 24/7. You're a guest in someone's home, and you want to give a good image of your home country. It's emotionally exhausting to always smile all the time, always say yes to everything, when all you want to do is sleep, because all these adjustments make you so tired that and you're lethargic from being fed so much food. And it's hard, but you push through. For me, the most rewarding thing was the way learning Mandarin allowed me to connect and bond with others. Learning a new language is like unlocking a level of a video game. There's so much information and experiences to enjoy in this culture that not everybody gets access to unless they're willing to learn the language. In my first family, my host dad would notice every time I learned a new word. I came with about a vocabulary of 20 words, so anytime I learned something new, it was very noticeable. I felt like a baby saying their first words. When I successfully used a new word, my host dad would just light up and applaud for me. Most of my conversations happened with a dictionary in hand, ready to search for any word I didn't know. I still remember the exact day I had come home from school, and I guess it had been some time since I really talked to my host dad, maybe a few days. We started chatting, and as we got ready to eat dinner, mid-sentence, he just stopped and he said, "Wait, you can understand me? Like everything I'm saying?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess I do." And after that day, somehow, I just didn't need the dictionary anymore. It felt really good to see that the work I put into learning was paying off. The fascination with language I developed on exchange was so great that after I returned home and finished high school, I chose to pursue an undergrad in linguistics at Brock University. I knew I wanted to study something relating to language, but I wanted to be able to use it to really help people. So I decided to specialize in speech science, which will allow me to do a master's in speech language pathology and become a speech language pathologist. If I hadn't gone on exchange, there is no way I would have gone down this route and found something that I was truly passionate about. Learning a second language was life-changing for me. I realized how limited I was only knowing one. In university, I started taking American Sign Language as my third language, and now I'm on to Arabic as my fourth. Knowing multiple languages will help me to service a larger demographic of people when I start my career, and ultimately, I have Youth Exchange to thank for that. Thank you guys for having me here tonight, and I would like to pass the mic to Eloisa, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eloisa, and I'm just going to talk about a little bit of my experience as an exchange student. So I came to Canada as an exchange student 3 years ago, and exchange has shown me how simple things can be done differently. And that developed in me creative thinking and the ability to provide different solutions, creative solutions to simple problems and complex problems. And that helps me in my career and my personal life as well. It made me understand better the quote from my favorite movie. It says, "The interesting question is, just because something thinks differently from you, does that mean it's not thinking?" And that is from the movie called Imitation Game. And it really made sense after my exchange because even washing the dishes in Brazil is differently from Canada, and that blew my mind. It gave me a wonderful second big family in Canada. They are here today, Erin, Keisha McDougall, and Joyce Casson. They helped me through my homesickness and all of that, and they made it possible for me to actually have a great experience. Exchange also gave me the support I needed to develop my leadership skills. It made it clear to me about my program of choice for college. Today, I'm a business student at Algonquin College here in Ottawa, and I have my small business with I'm very, very passionate about. I'm so grateful for Rotary because even though teenagers have the stereotype of being lost and not knowing how to feel where to go all the time, believe it or not, going to a total different country made me found myself. And that's why I'm so thankful for Rotary, the Youth Exchange Program, and the Youth Exchange Committee for all their hard work because they make it all possible for their patients and their hard work. So thank you very, very much.
Hi, I believe we're up next. We're Aaron and Keisha McDougall. We're here to give the perspective on the Rotary Youth Exchange, both as parents of an outbound student and as a host family. So Eloisa, who you just heard from, lived with us. Hi, sweetie. We miss you. So our daughter, Abby, she went to District 1670 in 2017. That's in the northeast corner of France near the Belgian border. And we've been host parents 2 times. So Keisha's going to say a little bit, and then I'll take over again.
So this kind of speaks to the practical side of things as host parents. Erin will speak more to sort of a little bit of both touching on outbound and inbound. We so enjoyed getting to know each of our students, and like sharing our favorite things. It was probably my favorite thing to be able to share places and experiences that we loved, and in order to like incorporate that student into our lives, we loved sharing that with them. And it's a pretty eye-opening experience when you can engage with other cultures that way and really learn from each other, because we learned things virtually every day and in our actual day-to-day lives. So I really, really loved that aspect, and our family did as well. That's where you actually learn about one another, when you're with each other on that day-to-day live-in experience. And so we've really enjoyed experiencing things together and becoming more aware of how more similar that we are than different.
I'll talk a little bit about, first of all, Abby's experience. Abby's our daughter, as I mentioned. So she left here when she had just turned 17. And as I mentioned, she was in France. The changes we saw in her really is it allowed her to grow in confidence and independence, a lot of maturity, and it formed her into the person who she is now. She's an extremely self-confident person, very comfortable in her own skin. Confidence really is the word that I keep coming back to with her. And I think a lot of that is due to her experience as an exchange student, and it's really shaping who she is now, and it's shaping her future. As an example of kind of what has happened in her life since then, she finished up high school and then decided to take a year to travel. Absolutely fearless. She took off to Mexico for a couple months of just solo backpacking around Mexico. And then she was off to Argentina for several months after that. Despite Grant's speeches about the D's, she actually ended up going to see the boy she met when she was in France, and has been dating ever since then, but we don't talk about that with exchange students who are coming in. Her plan now is to head to Spain to go to university as soon as the travel restrictions ease up, and she can get a visa to go live in Spain. I would really highly recommend this program for any students who have any interest at all. For anyone who's even done a short trip to a different place, you realize how it can expand your horizons, but spending a full year somewhere is life-changing. I think it was Noor or Maddie had mentioned how it's not a trip, it's your life for a year, and everything, it changes everything. So if a student is open-minded, if they're outgoing and ambitious, it could be one of the best experiences of their life. And for any parents who are worried about sending their kids away, they can have confidence that Rotary has a really good system in place. Their kids are going to be safe. Their kids are going to be well taken care of. And they're going to come back as a very different person in a better way than they left. And then I'll touch quickly on what it's like to be a host family. So as Keisha mentioned, we've been host parents twice. We had Eloisa from Brazil, and then we also had Daniela from the Faroe Islands. The two experiences were very different. They're both good, but due to the different personalities of the girls, it was just a different experience. In a bunch of different ways. One of our students, she's going to be a lifelong member of the family for sure, and we love her like she's our own daughter, and it's going to be that way, I think, for life. We've had we didn't have that same degree of closeness with our other student, but it was still a good experience. Every experience is going to be different, and every time you host, it's going to be a new opportunity to build those relationships. Being a host family can be really fun, and it's an opportunity to share your country and culture with someone else, as Keisha had mentioned. And if you're really lucky, as I've mentioned, you get to gain a new family member. And the connection is not just with the student, but also with their families. For example, we were able to meet several of Abby's host families when we visited France when she was finishing up her exchange there. We've also met Eloise's family. They came, her mother and aunt and sister stayed with us when they visited in Canada. And it was, that was really great. And I'm sure there's going to be a trip to Brazil in our future to visit Ayla's family there too. And as we continue to be host parents over the years, I'm sure we're going to have connections to families all around the world. So not just the students, but families all around the world, which is a really great thing. And finally, I just wanted to hit on quickly concerns about being a host family. So we always hear that one of the challenges that with the Rotary Youth Exchange program is finding host families. You hear things like we're too busy or we don't have enough room. Honestly, it's not hard. they're teenagers, so they don't need your constant attention. And really, it's just like having an extra kid in your own house. It's just anything you do with your own kid, you just do with the extra kid who's there. It's easy. And regarding having enough room, for anyone who's seen our house, Joyce, as a real estate agent, might describe our house in an optimistic way as being cozy. We have 4 kids of our own, a dog, 2 cats, and our house is really, really small. And if we can manage to shoehorn a student somewhere into our house, pretty much anybody can. So for someone to say they don't have room, they can make it work. And even if things don't work out with the student exactly as you might have pictured it, it's only 3 or 4 months. So if someone's worried about hosting and thinking it's going to be a bad experience, it's 3 or 4 months. It's going to go by in a flash. Worst case, it goes by quickly. It's not a big deal. So if you're willing to make the effort and if you're open-minded, you can make it be a positive, really positive experience, both for yourself as the host family and for the students. So yeah, in summary, I can't say enough good things about the exchange program. It's been really great for our family, both as parents of an outgoing and as being a host family. And we're really thankful for the opportunity we've had here. So thank you very much, and we'll hand it over to the Hagermans now.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to wrap things up in a quick fashion. I'd like to thank Deb, Maddie, Nora, Ello, and the McDougall family. Your words and experience remind us of what a wonderful program Youth Exchange is and just how much it changes not only the lives of the exchange students, but that of the host families and Rotary Club members. We're Trevor and Shelley Hagerman, District Youth Committee members and co-presidents of the Sterling Rotary Club. And we love Rotary Youth Exchange. For us, Youth Exchange is largely responsible for opening our eyes to the true scope of Rotary and its role in the world. It also has brought us the same knowledge and understanding to our club and led us to get involved in an international project in 2019, thanks to an outstanding presentation by Eloise that spoke earlier.
This 11-month-long program sees Rotary partnering countries exchanging students to live abroad. During this time, students are immersed in a culture different than their own and learn another language, bringing back to Canada an understanding of the differences that make us all unique. The plan is that...
No, sorry, Shelley. So long-term exchange goals. Deeper
cultural understanding, foster global citizens, bridging differences through friendship and bonds, broader view of the world, generating leaders, givers, and Rotarians, tolerance and understanding of others. The plan is that by August 2022, the world will be in a safe situation to allow for student exchange in District 7070. Your club is critical to the Rotary Youth Exchange program.
In any given year, these slides show what needs to happen. If you're interested, just say yes and reach out to any one of us at the RYE committee. Debbie, if you could put our email in the chat, please, and thank you.
By getting to know one another, respecting our differences while understanding our common goals, we can lay a foundation of world peace for future generations.
We're here to help you establish a youth exchange in your club. Please join us on March 30th for an informative session via Zoom. Watch your email and then register.
You and your club are vital to maintaining this vibrant, energetic, and rewarding program. We're so excited to work with you. Thank you all.
Thank you to the whole Youth Exchange team. I'm sorry that we've gone a bit over time and we have one more 2-minute presentation. I would never ever think about asking Neil not to present when he's been put on the stage. So let's move quickly on to Rotary Youth Leadership Awards co-chairs Waiting Bolu, co-chair Neil Phillips, and please stick around. We have a presentation immediately after. Go for it, Neil and Wei Ting.
Thank you very much, Patty. Hi, everyone. My name is Wee Ting, and I'm part of the Rotaract Club of GTA Connect. Past District Governor Neil Phillips and I hosted the 2019 Rotary Youth Leadership Awards program, RYLA in short, and this program gathers together youth ranging from ages 19 to 25 for an immersive program focused on diversity, leadership, and action. Charles, you can press a couple slides down. Awesome. That's Neil and I. And this is a summary of the 2019. Okay, in 2019.
Charles is very excited.
We had 2019. We had 6 days and 5 nights sleepover at the YMCA Cedar Glen Outdoor Center with approximately 30 youth, generously sponsored by the 22 clubs. And in the summer, we had over 189 team members involved in putting on this spectacle. So if you click to the next slide, we see the support ranged from our speakers and workshop leads. And then next slide shows all of the Rotary Club partners. In other words, all of your teams that were involved. So we see plenty of help from all of your clubs back in 2019. And then, of course, next slide consists of the organizing team. So many people involved in putting this together. And then on our last slide right here, you'll see that, of course, COVID-19 threw a little dent in our plans. And what we're looking for in 2022 is that who can help us where we can pass on the torch. Neil, over to you.
What we're saying is if you're interested in joining to help with this, we would love to get you to give us some impact. And in many districts, RYLA touches a younger age group. It starts as low as 15. So a lot of the stuff that was talked about tonight. So our contact info is in there. I know we're tight on time. Reach out to us and we'd love to get you involved. Thanks.
Thanks, Neil and Wei Ting, and thank you all. We have gone over time. As I said at the beginning, we had a lot of information, but I do hope we've inspired you. So I'm now going to turn it over to Mark.
Yeah, I'm going to be quick. If we're going to cut out the Q&A, unfortunately, because we want to get the awards presented. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat or the numerous email addresses that were provided tonight, and we'll certainly get back to you. And youth service is such an important part of our district. We'll make sure you get the information you need. So I'm going to pass it now over to past District Governor Mary Lou. Please take it.
Okay, so I think Mark is actually passing it over to me because that part of the segment of last week is we're not going to review that. So I want to echo what Mark said and thank all of Patty and all of the youth services presenters tonight. It was great. If some of you were here last week for the Tuesday talk, it's a good refresher. If it was brand new for you, I hope it's really valuable information. If you have questions after tonight, please send them to me. I'd be happy to pass them on and help with that. I think we're cutting that part out, Charles. Okay, thank you. So I do want to just, again, echo my comments about thanking the Patty and the Youth Services committee chairs for their excellent presentation tonight. Want to draw your attention to a comment that was made about an upcoming session called Youth Exchange, the Inside Scoop. It's on March the 30th at 7 to 8 p.m. Please register online. If you have had a youth exchange opportunity in your club or looking to do that, this is a great opportunity to learn a little bit more. And I have to tell you, youth exchange is near and dear to my heart. I didn't become a Rotarian until 2004, but I became involved with Rotary in 1993. Barry, my husband, came home from Rotary one day and said, "What do you think if we're a counselor to a student from Mexico on youth exchange?" And I said, "Oh, sure. What the heck?" Her name is Letitia, and we still are in contact with Letitia. She was 15 when she arrived. She's 43 now, an ophthalmologist, 2 young children, married. Barry actually went to her wedding. I was unable because I was working. So Rotary Youth Exchange does change lives, and we want to revive the program in our district after COVID. So if you haven't yet registered for Youth Exchange, the Inside Scoop, please do so. You can do online registration at the district website. So just a couple of minutes, I want to introduce what we're going to do next week. We are going to have a bit of a district assembly for the president-elects to vote on some changes to the policies and procedures. Then we have a fulsome presentation on goal setting in Rotary Club Central and talking about the Rotary citation. And then we have a special guest speaker, one of your colleagues, who's going to talk about If I Was President Again. So that's our plan for next week. And I said this to the planning team on Monday. I can't believe how quickly our president-elect training seminars have gone. And it's hard to believe we're down to one night next week. So thanks, everybody. We're going to let you out a little bit early tonight. Unless you have any questions that you want to raise with the team that's present tonight. Otherwise, happy St. Patrick's Day, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you.
Okay, Danny, question? No, it's saying goodbye. Okay, saying goodbye, Peter. Saying goodbye. Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
One for brow.
Bye,
With a
everybody.
green beer or green wine or something.
Oh, hell no.
Bye, John. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Yes.